Thank you so much, Tash. Pleasure to be here. Very happy to welcome on stage my counterpart. I feel like we're going to be a great double act. I'm Wiz, and this is Wheeze. So it's our first stage debut, and I was chatting to Nick earlier, who thought he's got from Free the Birds branding agency, and I decided he's got the task of branding us.
Yeah, it's a proper double act. Dynamic
exactly.
duo.
First it was, what was it? Mouthwash, and then Prosecco, and I said it must be more champagne.
A cartoon strip, surely.
Anyway, my name's Wiz. I have a strategy business focusing on helping brands and retailers scale. My background is working many years at Selfridges. I was head of beauty buying, and then I was director at Soho House Retail, and have worked with numerous brands and retailers over the past 6 years, helping them scale and navigate retail partnerships, ultimately. It's a very important part of many businesses, and also a big fan of the work that Tash does as well, because we often see that, particularly within teams, those retail focuses and the DTC teams don't always necessarily talk to each other or work that collaboratively. And I'm really passionate that I think retailers and DTC should be a happy marriage and can really help leverage each other's business. So, yeah, very happy to introduce Reese, who's the Managing Director of Balmonds.
Thanks very much. Thanks for inviting me. I look after Balmonds. We are a natural skincare company based very locally down in Brighton. And we specialise in natural products that are particularly suitable for people with very tricky skin conditions, so eczema, psoriasis, that kind of thing. Been going a very long time, I'm delighted to say. And we're mainly based in the UK, but recently launched in the US. So that's a beast and an exciting project.
Fantastic. So we've got some questions today. We're kind of really focused on, obviously got a lot of retail partners for the brand, and also a strong D2C business. And one of the key themes I hear from kind of brands I'm working with is, particularly if they've built a D2C business first, is how do you attribute where your customers are purchasing and kind of where those sales are coming from between your kind of D2C channels and retailers?
Yeah, I think it's an important thing to think very carefully about, because there are some serious pitfalls. I think if you very carefully pick the right retailers and set your kind of, where do you want to be in 5 years? What kind of brand are you? And which retailers are going to help us to get there? And so that the retailers you work with are keeping you on that focus and working towards the same goal with you. Then I think it works beautifully alongside a D2C project. I think something we've learnt along the way in a very difficult fashion is that the kind of spread yourself too thin across the retailers and you start to see a really detrimental effect on your D2C projects. You don't want to be fighting with your own customers for PPC space. It gets very expensive and it will really hammer the performance. So I think, carefully pick the retailers, and then it complements beautifully, and it definitely works really well, and one feeds the other and you see the effect of that. But don't spread yourselves too thin, particularly on Amazon.
It's a consistent thing I hear as well. It's like, let's get into all the retailers, but there's a lot about how you manage that relationship, how you working alongside your D2C channels, and it's also an order of approach, I think, which retailers you work with first of all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's all about relationships and having a really good relationship with the people at the retailer who are doing the digital projects, and understand what is their strategy. Is they got always on, and is it always going to be a fight? So you've got to work that out. Or is it on during promos, so you dial yours down and they dial theirs up? I think it's all about communication and planning, and it is possible, but carefully.
Yeah, those buyers' relationships are key and tricky. I mean, I used to be a buyer, so I think I've hopefully softened in time. But they're not easy to get hold of, even when you're working with them. So something that I'm very passionate about helping people navigate. So we've really seen, I suppose, bounce back to physical shopping post-pandemic. I think we're all experiencing it ourselves. And in some categories, it's kind of particularly beauty. It's up to 80% of purchases are made in kind of physical shopping spaces. So it's hugely important. What changes have you seen in, I suppose, the last few years with the retailers that you're working with?
Yeah, thank goodness, growth in sales and footfall, which is a really wonderful thing to see, and obviously that's really great. But I think something that's even more exciting than that is buyer attitudes. I think there's been a real shift in bravery. I guess buyers have got purse strings back and permission to really go for it. And I think having been through something so extreme like the pandemic, I think buyers are even braver than they were before, and it's created a really exciting opportunity for new products and store events and face-to-face stuff that, you know, we just couldn't do for a good couple of years. And that's been an absolute delight. And we've really, really seen the effect in customer feedback and obviously store sales.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think it's so important that these retailers are making a point of difference as well to their competitors, because they need to give a reason for their customers to come into their stores over the others. And how can you make what you're doing in retail strengthen D2C or vice versa?
I think the two partner really well. As I said earlier, if you pick the right retailers, you know, with that caveat, I think they really complement each other. I think it's all about the, you know, 7 times touch point. You've got to see something 7 times before somebody will try something new. And I think if you can get people 5 times digitally and then twice face-to-face, you know, in an actual store, then that's a great outcome. I think it really, really helps to have a high street presence for customer confidence. I think if you're looking at something new in particular, you can see it online and you can see reviews and there's an influencer talking about it and you've got all these touch points. But people, as someone I think was saying earlier, really want to pick it up and feel it. And also seeing it in a sort of retailer that you resonate with and you trust and you know they've got great stuff, you're going to feel much more confident having a go. And you'll either buy it there or you go back home and pops up on your Instagram feed and you think, oh, these guys are everywhere. And it just gives you that confidence. So I think it's a really good strategy to have both, as long as you pick the right one.
And I think the key thing I've been seeing as well is that digital is so important for research touch points as well. And people are obviously taking a lot more time to consider purchases. And it's not just those expensive items that they're considering. There's a lot of research done before people go into a physical shop as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So UK beauty retail has changed a lot over the last few years. What retailers are you excited about for the future?
I'm excited about the trends that we're seeing on the sort of in the beasts on the high street. I think that there's a real switch towards a much bigger product variety on the shelf from independents. I think, you know, there will always be the giants and they'll always have a place, but I think Boots, for example, I've always considered Boots as a kind of go-to store for everything that you need and you know what you're going to find. But now Boots has become like a kind of discovery store that you'll walk in and it's not unusual to come across something that you've never seen before. And that's really exciting. And Boots also have sort of changed their thinking where they're trying to bridge the gap between pharmacy and cosmetics. So they are looking for products that are really serving a purpose and have a value and have a story. And I think that's really exciting because it gives an opportunity to smaller brands, which of course is great. But I think also that allows the smaller brands who often can get sustainability goals a bit better, get cleaner ingredients really nicely and to a much wider audience. And that can only be a good thing, I think. Yeah,
and UK beauty retail has been changing rapidly over the last few years. There's been consolidation of pure plays and people really upping their game and a lot of fashion retailers moving into beauty as well. So it's become highly competitive, but it makes it very exciting. And what's your number one tip for increasing business with retail partners, which you wish you knew earlier on in your career?
Oh, how long have you got?
Well, exactly 1 minute 46 seconds.
Okay, go. I think the biggest thing, the hardest learning curve was when we first launched in big retailers and got caught up in partnership marketing, which I'm sure all of you know this, but it's the very expensive marketing that retailers insist that you do, that they tell you is going to be the be-all and end-all, and it's not. And it is the most expensive marketing you'll ever do and probably the least performing, or you'll never get the data. So I think my tip would be to agree a marketing spend that's a percentage of revenue right from the beginning. Don't spend big money. Put your marketing spend elsewhere. Support it. You know, influencer marketing obviously is massive. It doesn't have to be that expensive, and you will see great returns from it. I think anything in the retailers where you can get to store staff who are going to be interacting with your customers, they are your salespeople. If you can train them, if you can incentivize them, offer samples to them and the customers, great, then pay for that. But if it's anything else, don't.
Yeah, big tip. Yeah, some things are worth it, some are not. Something, I talk about quite a lot. So, if anyone's got any questions, please feel free to come and chat to myself or Wizz afterwards and connect with us on LinkedIn. I'm happy to answer any further questions. So, perfect.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Wizz and Wizz. Oh, I've got a microphone.